That brings us to our next game on Sunday. It is the 3:40 game, the Giants versus the Vikings in Minnesota. Vikings here are 3-point favorites only. What are your thoughts initially with the Vikings only being 3-point favorites?
Well, first thought is this is not a noon game, so I don't know why the Vikings are favored. Second thought is they have a negative point differential. How? How are they favored still? I don't
The Giants
understand that.
also have a negative point differential.
But they don't have 13 wins.
That's fair. Which, I mean, should bode a little bit more for the Vikings, given that they're going to go against what we believe clearly to be an inferior team. Um, and and they've shown that they have almost no ability to come back being down in any game and really can't compete anywhere with weapons nor stopping power on the defensive side to go against a high caliber team like this. I don't even think they have the coaches available to be able to stop anything that's going on with the Vikings.
Hmm. Interesting thoughts, Ty Bob. I've been seeing a lot of people that break down film and put up little clips on Twitter. Like the Giants are a well coached team. They've had a decent defense throughout the entire season, and I think this might be the perfect concoction for an upset. You have a team in the Vikings that has been highly suspect all season, even with as good a record as they have, and the Giants just rested everybody the last week of the season. They, I think you might want to do a little bit more research if you're going to knock their coaches, because there's a lot of people out there that say they're a very well coached team. And I think they, of any upset of any lower seed in this first round, the Giants have the best chance to, beat the higher seeded team, to pull
Not
the upset
necessarily
off.
meaning that they're not well coached. I just don't think they have the player personnel nor the coaching abilities to be able to stop this high power of an offense. The last time they met up was 3 weeks before the end of the season. The Minnesota Vikings did win only 27-24. However, Kirk Cousins went off for 34 of 48 with 3 touchdowns, and they ended up tacking on another 83 yards of rushing. Justin Jefferson went off 12 receptions for 133 yards. TJ Hawkinson had 13 receptions for 109 yards. If you're allowing two players to get that many yards and that many receptions, that's a tough ask to come around on the second
It's
round.
the NFL, man. They're going to be looking at that film. The last week of the season, Justin Jefferson got shut down, or maybe it was the week before.
Second to last,
But
yeah.
there's film on how to stop him. I know the season he's had has been, up there with the greats. But there's things you can do to slow a guy like that down. And really, if you do, the options underneath him are not, solid. They're not shoo-ins. They're not guarantees. They're not locks. So, TJ Hawkinson is probably their best skill position player outside of him. Throw in Dalvin Cook, who does get injured quite a bit. But
First full season, I believe.
good
First
for
or
him.
second full season for
Happy,
Dalvin
happy
Cook.
for him. Truly am.
Sean, we're just. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I honestly think that the Giants should have won the first matchup. Even giving up all that yardage, they lost by 3 points. It was the last second field goal. A lot of stuff went crazy at the end of that game. I still thought the Giants should have won that game. So
A lot of people are leaning towards this Viking side, but one of the things that we're that get missed is the Vikings actually have the worst defense in the league by every single metric and by DVOA. They are the
Oh,
32nd ranked defense in the league. They allow the most points, they allow the most yards, receptions, and rushing yards. They are the worst by literally everything that you can look at on a sheet of paper. And if you watch the film, you can see that they are god awful. In the last meeting with the Giants, Daniel Jones went 30 for 42 for 334 yards. He did only have one touchdown and one interception, but then also rushing wise, the team went off for 126 yards. Saquon Barkley had 14 carries for 84 yards, averaging 6 yards a carry. Daniel Jones also averaged 8.5 yards a carry in this game.
Wow.
See, Chiefs fans, it could be worse.
Could be much worse.
You can't get worse. I think historically, we've talked about Spags down in the Saints the year we had Bob Sutton and lost in the AFC Championship game. I almost don't think that you can get worse than what the Vikings have this year in their defensive team.
That sucks because that offense can do a lot of great things. I just talked a bunch of shit on them, but Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, TJ Hawkinson is a great three-headed monster at your skilled positions.
I noticed there was one name you did not say there, though. That is probably the most important player that they need to have a good game with. Kirk Cousins.
Jalen Reagor? Oh.
Kirk Cousins. Yeah, it's not noon. He struggles whenever it's not noon. So look for him to struggle again this week.
I thought he's had a couple of good mid-afternoon games, right?
He's had a couple.
Sometimes, but most
very
of the time,
hit and miss.
It's always a noon.
Tybo, we've talked about in the Seahawks game, better defense wins. In the last game, we talked about turnovers. What's it going to take for either of these teams to win on Sunday?
The ball is really in Minnesota's court, but the game planning for the Giants, how do they stop the offensive monster that is Minnesota? They should be able to score plenty of points. If the defense can hold them, get some stops here and there, then it's their game to win. So that's pretty much it. Justin Jefferson is your focus. How do you stop him? Start there, and your defense should be able to have a pretty good game. But we all know how difficult that is.
Boys, Giants in Minnesota, Vikings at home are 3-point favorites. Let's get down to picking this one. Sean, who do you got?
Tybo said it earlier. This is one of the only matchups where we can actually see a lower seed upset. And I'm going to go with the upset. Give me the G-Men.
Same here.
Dude, Come on. I should have picked second.
You can't switch it now. I'm going to take the Vikings. They've got the worst defense. I just can't trust Daniel Jones in any situation whatsoever.
I can trust Saquon.
Can you?
Yeah.
I mean, in this, with both defenses giving up as many yards and as many scores as they are, I don't think Saquon can score enough.
I think he can.